Conor McGregor showed up to the LA press conference with supreme confidence, ready to verbally molest Mayweather. But Floyd, that crafty-ass motherfucker, had a couple of tricks up his sleeve that really seemed to mitigate the blatant chasm in trash-talking ability. Firstly, we're used to seeing Conor show up late, having the entire MMA world wait for him before he makes his emphatic entrance and the press conference really begins. By making us wait like he did at UFC 205, McGregor's entrances always serve to highlight just how dull proceedings are without him. Yesterday, McGregor didn't even have a fucking entrance. The promo cuts and next thing he's just standing around on a stage waiting for Floyd to emerge. In a later interview, McGregor seemed to think this was clearly planned, and I believe him, any little fucking angle to further frame Floyd as the A-side. But in terms of feeling comfortable in awkward situations, Conor just cannot be fucked with. He treated the whole thing like it was an audience with the fucking Pope. He was in his element. When Floyd finally did emerge, they had their first stare down. Now, I'm not going to read too much into it. I did feel that this was the most nervous Floyd looked all night. A lot of stiffness and tension in his body, but I'm not going to dwell on this because ultimately, by the end of the press conference, I didn't think either guy was really rattled. We're looking at two fighters who have risen to the pinnacle of their respective sports and have done so by absolutely thriving under pressure. And that's the feeling I got. Two individuals uniquely built for handling enormous fucking pressure. A few days ago, Dana mentioned that the press conference was gonna be a shit show. And for me, he was basically right. Totally different from the unfiltered, free-flowing verbal savagery we see at the UFC's press conferences. Instead, it kicked off with a couple of formal, suit-and-tie-wearing stiff-as-fuck businessmen just sucking the energy out of 20,000 rabid fans, killing the atmosphere. Before finally, and amid lightheadedness, shortness of breath, and shooting pains in his left arm, Dana introduced McGregor in pretty epic fucking fashion.
What's up, Los Angeles? Ladies and gentlemen, the reigning, defending, 155-pound champion of the UFC, the notorious Conor McGregor!
Gotta give the guy credit here. He was the first person on that stage who seemed to have a modicum of appreciation for the gravity and magnitude of the event. Short intro, but very powerful. McGregor took the podium calm, cool, and collected, loving every second. The first 3 minutes or so were great, but it emerged he hadn't even been aware of the fact that he had to make a fucking speech. And it then became a little bit of a disjointed stream of thoughts, the theme of which was gratitude. For me, his whole attitude on the day could be summarized as follows.
I don't know what else to say. I'm just feeling so good. I swear to God, I can't contain it.
Happy, calm, relaxed, and his speech ended more as a celebration than a confrontational statement of ruthless intent, or a typical ice-cold verbal assassination. He didn't mount any real memorable offense, but I think he expected the fireworks to kick off once all the pre-rehearsed formalities were finished. Had he known that was the only time he was gonna get in the mic, I'm sure I'd be telling a very different fucking story. Then it was Floyd's turn. Now, his speech was pretty shit to begin with. There were moments where he was straight up struggling to remember his next line. It looked like he was doing complicated mathematics in his head. At times, Floyd was concentrating so hard, I was expecting him to come out with the fucking unified field theory. But instead, he'd finally come out with something like, Conor McGregor, he a bitch. I mean, he was going deep into the recesses of his mind, and that's the type of shit he was pulling out. In the first couple of minutes, we got to see just how much McGregor could tear Floyd asunder if it was a free-flowing back and forth. Conor has an answer for every fucking thing Floyd tries.
I don't give a fuck if it's a ring. I don't give a fuck if it's an octagon. Put me in there and I'm gonna kick ass.
Don't be talking shit. You do give a fuck if it's an octagon.
And August 26th, I'm gonna knock this bitch out too.
Yeah, well, I haven't knocked nobody out in about 20 years.
big boy. Dance for me, son. Dance for me.
Let me show you motherfuckers what $100 million fighter look like. Still got $100 million, and then he never touched this shit.
That's to the tax man.
But once they cut McGregor's mic, it was a different story. They neutered Conor, and Mayweather started to get some momentum going. All McGregor could do was watch him talk shit, which is a new experience for McGregor.
And we know Mr. Tapper like to quit. And you will wave that white flag, because you can choose which way you want to go. I'm guaranteeing you this. You going out on your face or you going out on your back? Now which way you want to go? Which way you want to go? That's right. Sit quiet, you little bitch.
By virtue of having a planned speech and some patented Mayweather chants to rally the few Floyd fans in attendance, he did do pretty well. He delivered his lines with a lot of solid conviction, and his speech was basically focused on hyping a fight. I mean, McGregor is clearly a superior speaker and much quicker on his feet, but because he was surprised by the format, his speech kind of became a disorganized shotgun scatter of ideas. Whereas Floyd's, he did focus on hyping himself and the fight. And crucially, he ended on an emphatic high, with him summoning Conor for the stare down. That high is what stuck in the minds of a lot of viewers. From what I saw online, most people seem to think Floyd came out on top. For me, Floyd's biggest victory was in managing to avoid any direct confrontation outside the stare-downs, and crucially finishing a press conference on a huge high. Look, I don't mind the idea that Floyd stole the show in the end. The problem is, in order to do so, they had to mute McGregor, and so they're failing to utilize the greatest promotional tool at their disposal, a verifiable fucking soundbite machine. And regardless, I don't think McGregor's going to be caught off guard twice. My prediction is, from here on out, Floyd's getting fucked.